Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks, for another LSB Film podcast. I hope everyone's keeping well today. My guest today is Darren. Darren from The Light Paper. I'm sure most of you watching my channel are familiar with this publication. It came around in the 2020 era, which we all know what happened in that era. So it was quite a refreshing thing to come across, given all the censorship. Welcome to the show, Darren.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
My pleasure. So, obviously, given 2020, I understand a big part of this, the answer to this question, but what made you want to do the Light Paper?
There's several things, but one of the main influences was as an Irish truth paper that was out in the 2000s, 2010, and a lady from Manchester. Who's amazed, she's like 80 or something, but she was carrying around, you might have seen the meme of the Sovereign Independent and Bill Gates, Nick Carvey, it was on the Jibby Jabbies and all sorts, but it was basically telling the truth then. That was a major influence. So somebody was already doing it, like I say, back in Ireland, like 10, 15 years before we came along. Now, I woke up in 2013. And I started, obviously, wrote the famous song "We Are the 99%." You stick your new world order up your arse. And I joined the anti-fracking campaign. I bought a Moss. I still believe fracking is, a terrible idea. Although I do believe in, other natural fuels, which I know you covered as well a couple of weeks ago about, oil not being from dead dinosaurs and things, because you just can't get fossils and trees 20,000, 30,000 feet down. They replenish. That's why we've never reached peak oil. It's a marketing scam. And what a lot of people don't.
Was it the Rockefellers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nearly always the Rockefellers now.
It's either them. It's either Rockefellers or Rothschilds, isn't it?
Well, they stay in the background. I always laugh when the world's richest comes out, and it's Elon Musk with his however many hundreds of billions he's got now. Is he a trillionaire? I don't know if he's reached the trillionaire status.
Oh, I don't know.
It's just ridiculous. As everybody gets poorer and poorer because of the money system, because of the banking system, which is what our next issue is about, of the Light Paper. But some people are championing these. First of all, they're championing the billionaires as they're making more and more money. And 2020 was a very good time for them and a very terrible time for normal small.
Biggest transfer of wealth.
Huge transfer of wealth, and it's still going on now. Yeah. And people are still cheering it on somehow. That these guys are helping. These guys are saviors. They're getting rid of the deep state somehow. Whereas the banking system underlies it. But just going back to your point, the Rothschilds are brilliant because they stay hidden, and they are one of the original three founders of the Illuminati. Money makes the world go round. The currency, the currency is what we all use to exchange for the goods and services that we need. As they print more and more of it with interest, which was basically outlawed for 1,000 years. It's outlawed in nearly every religion. It was outlawed, in the so-called Dark Ages. But when people had their own plots of land, and there was peace and prosperity for centuries. Nowadays we just kind of get, we just kind of accept it, and that's how they do it generationally. So the Rothschilds stay hidden. The Rockefellers are reasonably hidden as well, because they divested in 2010-ish. They started divesting into the green nonsense. As global warming became the climate crisis, because scientists were proving that there was no warming. We're in a relatively cool period. But global warming now seems to be back, because that headline recently, in recent days, we're going to try and block out the sun to combat global warming. And everybody's going, yeah, but they've been doing this for ages. Although some people don't even believe about the headline. But they've slipped in global warming in there.
Just about that, I've done a video today. Now, obviously, people watching this aren't going to see it for a little while. But somebody sent me an email, shout out to that chap, and the things that they're spraying in the sky. This bloke had invented like this balloon that goes up. It's about £1,000 a balloon, or $1,000 a balloon. I am being really vague. I appreciate that, but it's called stratospheric aerosol transport something.
Aerosol.
No, basically, it's an anagram of Satan.
Yeah.
It's Satan.
Yeah. Yes,
Well, I can't remember the last two are because my memory is honestly, my memory is so bad. I reckon I've got too much aluminium in my head.
But it's official. The point is that that's from the official ALA, our version of DARPA, the UK's version of DARPA. This is all, it's all official documents. And we're still at the stage now, even though they've had a massive, the scamdemic, the psychological operation that was, and people are, a lot of people know that's the jibby jabbies that why people are getting cancer and even more disease. People are dropping down, dying suddenly. They still don't seem to have twigged that what they're being fed is just utter nonsense, or rather, until it's on the BBC or in the Guardian or on Channel 4 or whatever, until it's across the media, then it's not true, and you're a conspiracy theorist, and did you get it offline?
You're far right.
YouTube.
According to Wikipedia, you're a far right publication, and I did laugh when I read that. And that's kind of when you're over the target, because that's when you start getting the name calling. Because I've read read an article in your newspaper, and all I've read is common sense for the most part. It's got nothing to do with right or left. It's just about right against evil,
against the state. Yeah, I mean, look, they give these labels and the work, they are effective. Don't people shouldn't be naive about it. We always say not far right, not far wrong, because we are pretty accurate in what we say. And any time that we do get something wrong, I think I got something wrong recently. I said income tax was invented brought in with the First World War. And we were corrected on it. It was William Pitt who first brought in income tax. I think it was the United States that brought it in with the First World War. Anyway, get something wrong, we'll happily. But it's been I think it's been like 3 times in over 56 issues. So the point is that those labels are effective, because what happens is, I don't want to be racist. I don't want to be anti-Semitic and all the rest of it. I don't want to be hateful, what have you. And I keep saying to these people that accuse us of it, please show me the article that is, what they say it is, and I'll shut it down tomorrow. And you don't hear because that's it. Then it's boxed in your head. So this is why it's so important to do real offline, in person work. There are groups all up and down the country, every week or every month or every couple of weeks, and they're on the streets handing out the light papers, or people just order 25, 50 copies and go around the neighbourhoods and put them in they put them in people's letterboxes. Half of them are going, oh no, this is that. Oh, I don't want to know, what have you. But there are so many people out there who still don't know of our existence because they're not online and they're not connected to, the truth movement and what have you. They might not have gone on the marches in 2020. They just keep themselves to themselves. And we just had an email recently from somebody saying, in fact, I'll read it to you. He says, let's find it really quickly. Basically, saying exactly what I just said. Let's have a look. Where is it? There it is. Many thanks. From a gentleman called Shane Mann. Dear The Light, I would like to thank the mysterious person who delivered issue 56 to my house on Saturday, the 27th of April. Very accurate. I have subscribed. I was unaware that such a publication exists. I steer clear of anything mainstream, do not pay for a TV license, do not listen to the radio or read any papers. And I adored Mark Twain's True Pearls, which is great for Richard, who writes that every month on different people. So, sometimes I get a feel of how the truth movement's doing, how it's feeling, and so I think a lot of people have either they're succumbing to learned helplessness. They've been demoralised because they're throwing so much at us. They've been spraying the skies for decades, and now they're just coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're going to try and block out the sun." And people are also like, "Well, why aren't people?" Now they're actually saying it. Why aren't people protesting it and what have you? We know the rest of the population are demoralised, but it's down to everybody that knows exactly what's going on, that's aware and awake, and knows the world is full of deception and knows what the end plan is, to redouble our efforts right now.
But even But even normal people, I don't understand. I say normal people,
I know what you mean.
sheeple, if you like.
Insane people.
Yeah, I don't understand. Even they must see the insanity of we're going to spend billions of pounds blocking out the sun. We're going to spend billions of pounds on solar panels and taking over fields so you're not growing food, but we're going to harness the sun's energy. But at the same time, we've got to spend billions of pounds on blocking out that very heat source. It's like you couldn't fucking rewrite this for a comedy sketch.
It is funny.
It's even normal people, they should see that, shouldn't they?
Well, they probably do, but again, it probably just. I mean, what we've got to do is put ourselves back in the position, back in the headspace that we were at before we woke up. And you kind of went, "Well, that doesn't sound right. That's a bit strange." Anyway, you've got to get on with your day, yeah, because you've got to go back to work and pay the bills. You know what I mean? Which are making
Your
it harder
distractions.
completely and utterly, and there's demoralization going on. So, like I say, awake people, aware people. We need to be out there. We need to be talking to the public. If there's just two of you in an area, get in your local town on a Saturday afternoon for a couple of hours. It will make you feel a lot better because you'll also realize that there's a lot more people out there.
Well, this is what the whole stand in the park idea is, isn't it?
The stand in the park was, obviously originally for people to meet up, and obviously just being outside was a bit of a protest in itself. But
we've just continued that.
Take it to the next level now, or take it to the next stage, if you like. Still have the stand in the park, still meet up, or stand. People have developed that into regular meetings, or they have speakers and social events, and it's all great. But like I say, do an outreach in your town. You'd be surprised by how many people, like I say, are awake, will come up and get the paper. They won't chase you down the street anymore, quite saying that you're killing granny. The tide has turned, but until we connect everybody, until they've got the full picture, because they're not going to get it. If they get
absolutely. Well, in fairness to us, Darren, we did do our bit. From the stand in the park, we then arranged for the council 20-minute neighbourhood thing. Then we ran for councillor. Then I become a councillor. And we have done quite a lot of outreaches in Thetford.
Absolutely.
And then we've obviously got the Thetford Council Watch, which started off other council watches across the country. So
doing the rest. Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah. But this is what I've said, and people need to do local.
Yes,
it has to be done locally.
For it to be done in 1,000 towns and cities across the country. If there isn't one in your town right now, set it up with a couple of awake friends. We're just developing now, and we're just at the first stages of it. Awakemap.com, where basically it's going to be it's a map of all local events, so new people can find them. New people can find out what's going on in the area really easily. What we need right now, though, is those organisers. So if you organise events and outreach and stand in the parks and meetings and socials and all the rest of it, as long as it's regular and it's active, then go to awakemap.com and click get an organizer account. And then you can obviously list all your events, as and whenever, and obviously we'll do a lot of promotion for it as well, put on the in the light paper. So it just becomes it's all free, it's a complete free service. But the idea is that there's an easy place for anybody anywhere in the country. If you're handing out a paper, or if you're in stand in the park, say, do we do any outreach? Is there any socials? Awakemap.com. And that's where you go to find out what's going on. So for all the organisers in the country, if you're an organiser, you organise events, just go to the site, get in touch with us if you want, for help, awakemap.com, and get an organiser account, and you can start listing your events. If it's a weekly event, you can just click recurring, for 50 weeks or what have you. You don't have to do it every week, and put your details in there. Because like I say, in real life is where it's at. Online, it's great. You can speak to, a couple of hundred people and they all agree with you. But that's that's the sharing information between ourselves, you know what I mean, and letting people know what we're doing. I know a lot of people put out there.
Online's good for getting the shit together. Yeah, you want that connection in person, not person. See how difficult it is. You want that connection on a one-to-one.
Yes, if you want to reach curious people, shall we say, semi-awake, confused, the ones that are ready to wake up, You're not going to do it online because the algorithms are so advanced and so clever now. You know, if I share, so if I put a post up and 50 people share it, that's great. You know, so I know that, you know, my post is in their feeds, but then that the post that they share gets like 1 like or what have you. So it just doesn't go any further. There's a wall around it.
Yeah,
you know, anybody that's active, anybody that's like doing the whole truth, you know, is just walled off. And it's and that's me. I've been around for ages, and we know we're the editor of the Light Paper and all the rest of it. So it's even harder for other people as well. But you, look, you go out in your town on a Saturday afternoon, you can speak to 1,000 people, or you know, even 250 people, and even if they don't stop, they're all walking past your posters and your signs and your yellow boards or the front covers of the Light
planting
Paper.
seeds.
Absolutely, you know what I mean. And
we're farmers. We're truth farmers. Farmers of truth. We're planting seeds. We might not see we might not see the tree grow and flourish, but we planted the seed.
It's a great name for a band.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And see, and that's the other thing. Thetford in July, we've got the Thetford Truth and Freedom Festival.
Oh, wonderful!
Which is actually in Larling, which is just up the road from Thetford. We've got so far, I believe we've got Graham Moore speaking. We've got Vobesy coming down. Sandra Adams coming down. There's a few others, but I can't remember. I'll be doing my Floyd a Fancy tribute music, and there's a couple of other acts there over a 2-day thing. So again, there's an outreach. Yeah, there's camping, but that's a separate. So the Truth and Festival Freedom tickets are £10, and they're only available from Fatsoma because they need to know how many people are attending. So they can't do it on the door.
Yeah.
And the camping is £15 a night for your basic camping, or it's £25 for an electric hookup, but that includes like showers, things you can wash up and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly interested in coming anyway, because I like attending lots and lots of truth events. By the way, whoever's organising it, if it's yourself or whatever, get it on awakemap.com.
Well, this is why I brought it up, because I was thinking that seems like a good thing to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because look, you know, like I say, somebody wakes up or somebody go, you know, I want to get involved. Where do I go? What's going on in my area? That's exactly what it's for. To be honest with you, it should be set up 5 years ago or what have you. But you know, better late than never. It's being done now. So first thing is, if you want me to come and play at that, I will happily come and play at that. You know, as a solo artist, again, you know, we can sort that out. Gives me an excuse to bring the family down and camp out. We've got a converted van, which we've been taking to the wake festivals. And secondly, obviously, we're doing our big version, and in about 3 weeks now. It's the big Maybank holiday up in the Lake District. We've gone a little bit bigger with it, so but it includes all your camping, everything else. It's the Awake Farmer who owns the land has been opening his land to everybody since 2020. So we've been doing, you know, get-togethers and festivals and you know, all sorts there for ages. So the guy's brilliant. He also does, you know, amazing food. But we've got Danny Rampling, we've got Mobius Loop, we've got My Full Band, and we've got, you know, lots and lots of names. You know, that people have seen from the Truth Movement from the last few years. But we're also doing free workshops in the mornings. The free practical workshops. So again, just tons and tons to do. We've got Hope Sussex, the amazing crew that do the you know, do the home education. Well, it's not home education. It's not school. It's you know,
is this a ticket due?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, because you said we need to know how many people are coming. We do get grief from people out there. Why isn't it cash on the gate? Why isn't it, you know, why are you being hypocrites and all the rest of it? Well, I'd love to do that if we've been running 10 years and we knew exactly how many people are coming, but we need to know how, you know, we need to know security. We need to know, you know, how many toilets to get, how many foods, all the rest of it. You know, if there's 500 people, if there's 750 people, if there's 1,000 people, we need to know how many people are coming. So there's plenty of facilities for everybody. And that's one of the things. We did the first one last year. It was immensely successful. We had 1,000 people, nearly 1,000 people come. And everybody said there was loads of food, there was loads of toilets, everything was clean, everything was, there was water, there was, all the rest of it. It was all provided for. Got huge congratulations for our first one. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on us now to get this one right, but we've expanded. We've got 3 marquees.
Did you leave the site in a nice, respectable manner?
Completely and utterly, yeah. It was exactly as we found it. With amazing help. We've got an amazing volunteer crew who did a brilliant job helping us basically convert a field into a festival. And if you're an old school old fart like me, and you used to go to the old free festivals and Glastonbury back in the day and all the rest of it, like before the corporate crap took over and it was 20 quid to get a bottle of water and all the rest of it, then you're going to love this festival. It's not licensed. You bring your own booze, yeah, and we don't check for water. I mean, I've heard some horror stories. I just seen an advert for Reading and Leeds, I think it was, and it's as woke as you could possibly get for the climate change. You know what I mean? I'm going to do, and the comments are just brilliant. The comments are just like, sod off. I mean, this is a rock. This is an old school rock thing where and we're the opposite. Even though we're going to call far right, Nazi, anti-Semitic, etc. It's an old school freedom festival. So if you're awake, definitely come. It's 80 quid all in for the whole bank holiday week, and that's 20 quid a day. It's 20 quid a day for camping. You get all the music and all the workshops and everything else thrown in. But the main selling point, if you like, is you get to hang around with
the community
truthers and relax and chill out and talk about what you want and have a good time and not think about where's this person at, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's the spirit of the marches that we were at in 2020 through 21, 22, 23. That vibe we recreated it very, very successfully last year, and we fully expect it to completely happen again because it's the same people, same vibe, same intentions. So yeah, come along, get your tickets now. Like I say, you can't pay cash on the door because we need to know how many people are coming. But yeah, get your tickets now from standingthelight.uk.
There you go. I'll leave links in the video description. I hope this video doesn't come out after the event because I only do one podcast a week, but I will do a standalone video to promote it. So yeah, no, that's good. Well, good luck with that, and I hope the weather stays nice because it's supposed to be quite hot over the next week or so.
Yeah, I mean you can feel it already. What they seem to have done this year, because the last 2 years they've just been raining it crazy from February all the way through. Basically for the rest of the year.
I think we did have 2 weeks of spring, which was nice weather.
And then this year they've not been raining. They've been making it so. I think look, they'll develop new technologies all the time, but it seems to me that we had blue skies, but it was freezing cold. Now we go, oh, okay, well it isn't that warm in April. But at the same time, it should warm up during the day. If the sun's out, it should warm up during the day. It should get warmer, and it just wasn't. You know what I mean? So when they've got a new type of chemtrail or a new type of technology which does that, at the end of the day, it will stop crops growing. We know they want food shortages. We know they want to screw the food supply and make us completely dependent on them. Like I say, they're doing all this stuff. They're trying to demoralize people. For me, it redoubles my efforts. It makes me even more energized. It makes me even more determined to, grow some fruit trees, get more chickens in, and just do what I can. Obviously, make connections locally with the farmers and.
What's your opinion on electroculture?
I don't know anything about it. That's my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I'm to
about harvesting the energy from the ether.
Oh, okay.
And using like copper pyramid cages, and it grows. And I've seen pictures of like tomatoes this big, and strawberries being grown in like December.
Wow. Okay. Well, we know the ether's a thing. Anybody that's dug into the cosmology of the flat Earth, which is again, it's a labeled box now, so you try and avoid it. But I just say the real cosmology, if you like, knows that Michelson, Morley, Einstein, all the rest of it. Einstein came out to remove any notion of the ether, whereas the Michelson-Morley experiment kind of proved it. We know we've all seen the buildings, whether you believe it's Tartaria, whether you believe it's Jesus' 1,000-year reign. We've seen amazing buildings that they were building in the 12th century and probably before, because they probably added centuries to the timeline as well.
Petrified tree stumps.
I'm not so sure about that. I don't know about the roots.
You're
not the roots underneath, and I don't. Sometimes it's a red herring, but I don't know. I wouldn't say definitively either way, but certainly the ether's a thing, and they certainly didn't have so-called electric sockets and power tools and whatever to build these amazing buildings from 1,000 years ago, but they built them. So what did they use? How did they do it? How did they transport blocks, etc., etc.?
Frequencies.
Definitely missing. We're missing. We go to school so that we're misled, so that we're misdirected and indoctrinated. To believe, to accept anything that the rulers tell us. Sit down, shut up, don't look out the window, pay attention to this. And then we're going to test you on this bollocks as well. So it goes into your head, and this is what you believe, and then
don't forget what's school backwards again. School backwards is a word that basically means thick.
Oh, okay. Luke's.
Yeah, I ain't got my phone with me. Otherwise, I'd do a quick Google. But
okay. I always think schooling's for fish, and that's why they always take the bait.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good analogy there, sir. Yeah.
And okay. My other one is at the moment is usury is the root of all evil. Like it's not a hot enough topic. Where it was back in 2008. We
briefly
talk about all of the rest of the stuff, but the truth movement doesn't focus enough on the money and banking system, which underpins everything else. Yeah, like I say, for 1,000 years it was illegal, it was unlawful to charge interest on borrowed money. Now it underpins all the inequalities in the world and gets to pay for corrupt politicians and all their shenanigans, and therefore to pass legislation and pay for police forces to enforce their tyrannical legislation, which
the beast system.
Yeah, exactly. But you end usury now, end interest charged to governments, by central banks. These a group of people who've got the license to print money out of thin air and then give it to and say, there you go, government, you can do your campaigns and promise them this, that, and the other. And obviously future generations are just saddled with that debt more and more and more. Obviously, at some point it's going to implode, at which point they can go, okay, no problem, we've got the solution for you. It's the digital currency. So, and here's £1,000 every month for free, because obviously AI has taken over a lot of jobs now. So here's our new system for you. And to be honest with you, Trump and Musk and whoever comes after Starmer, and I don't know, wherever the politicians are, but certainly Trump and Musk are making all the right noises about the deep state, and we're going to audit Fort Knox. They haven't done it yet. We're going to RFK Jr. was there to stop the vaccines, but he hasn't done a single thing. In fact, they're bringing in digital medical.
Hasn't he got shares in vaccines?
Probably. Again, I try and know as much as possible, but what I know is they're making the right noises, but in the end they're going to bring in the technocracy. So in other words, they've gone, yeah, we're banning CBDCs, but we're really interested in private stable coins owned by the banks. You know what I mean? That's
I can see Trump bringing in the digital IDs.
Yes, yeah, and obviously, we've already got facial recognition in London, and then the making noises, even GB News. Well, that's where you put it. Even Farage and all those guys. We need digital ID to keep a track on the immigrants. We don't need to keep a track on the immigrants. We know where they all are because you're paying for them we're paying for them every month. But yeah, we're gonna.
And if you send them home, then we wouldn't need to know where they are.
Well, yeah, exactly. So and people, I used to think, well, at the end of the day, people are genuine asylum seekers, absolutely. What I mean? We've got money and all the rest of it. But there's now, and this is a conservative estimate from the government themselves, 40,000, and they're mostly fighting age men. And nobody can know what's going on. You're not allowed to go in there and chat to them. The security guards, so how much do they cost? And they're in all the best hotels, so people's weddings.
Yeah, because even the hotel staff, they're all let go, aren't they? Because they bring their own, and they're all of the same background, shall we say?
Well, look, the point is that they've got no roots in this country. So Whether they're just going to go, at one point, just go out and kill everybody, I really don't think so. I think what's going to happen is they're going to affect these food shortages. Obviously, people aren't prepared. So, guys, get prepared now. Let's hope it happens in 3 years or 5 years or what have you, but get prepared as soon as you can. But they'll affect the food shortages. And obviously, our police will also want to feed their families as well. They'll probably be in the same boat, but they certainly won't stop other people getting the food. But people from Avion, you probably dealt with the traffic wardens, and they're just like, I don't care. You know what I mean? They're very.
And many of these traffic wardens and bailiffs are all of the same kind of ethnicity as.
They have no roots with us, so they don't care. They have no common ground with us. So when people are starving and they're at the food distribution centres or the warehouses or the supermarkets or what have you, please come and get some food, and they're standing there with their UN uniforms and their guns. That's what I believe. That's what I believe they're for. I think the government is preparing to reset the system, and if you're resetting the system, it means they need to end the old system. Now, this sounds like conspiracy. To the normal man on the street right now, this sounds like conspiracy theory bollocks. But what we have to do is connect those dots. Yeah, they're attacking the farmers. They want farmers off the land. They're bribing farmers to go. They've got a plan. The planning and infrastructure bill, which again nobody's talking about yet. It's at the committee stage. They are going to be able to force. They can already compulsory purchase, land and houses and what have you. But obviously, it's quite difficult to do. But they're pushing legislation through now, and they're not even going to give you market compensation for it. So. Let's face it, they're not after terrace streets in Oldham. They're after, farms, farmland.
They're after anything which basically could offer the normal person, state word, the chance of any kind of liberation.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Or self-reliance. So we need to get together. All people in your area. There's no point in me and you who live at different ends of the country. But obviously we might know somebody, in your area. You might know somebody in my area, etc., etc. So there's many connections as possible. But we need to connect the dots with people, and that's what we try to do with the Light Paper every month. We don't cover one topic necessarily, although we might have, obviously the front cover might have 2 or 3 articles related to it through the thing. But showing people how. Fake climate crisis, getting farmers off the land, and then obviously it's the bugs and plant-based meat and what have you. Even to and then you can even go getting rid of handguns and and getting rid of dangerous dogs and all the rest of it, so you can protect yourselves. They want people completely and utterly infantilized and dependent on the state for everything. And when the state turns around and goes, sorry about it. I mean, they won't do it. They won't. They'll go, oh my God, there's an economic crisis, a supply chain crisis. We don't know how it's happened. Yeah, because they'll leave it. They won't do it straight away. They'll just set it all up, and then the next government or what have you, or Starmer will leave in a year's time under what have you, and then somebody else will come in and go, and then there's this crisis, and we're doing our best, but those that know will know it's all engineered. But if it's too late that you can't do anything about it, then like I say, that's on you. But our job, like I say, is to help people get prepared, get connected with other local people, which again is what Awake Map's about. But also get them to understand, because people are still taking a piss. They're still your right wing radical, blah 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 blah. We're trying to help you here, right? You're going to be very hungry. You're going to feel isolated. You're going to be completely dependent on the government. Your job's going to go.
Potentially living in a tent.
Your finances are going to be wiped out. You've got paper finances. I've got a pension, and I've got my stocks, and I've got my ISAs, and I've got all the rest of it. That will go like that. Yeah. Financial meltdown. See you later. Supply chain stop. There's nothing on the shelves within a day or two. Not even toilet paper, and probably even the plant-based food will go in the end. Although it's always funny to see that everything else is empty.
Well, I keep having this going to the finance bit. I keep having this conversation with the missus, because the kids have got their own little funds in their banks for when they're older, courtesy of the grandparents. And I keep saying, look, why don't you just buy gold with that?
Yeah.
So come when they're 18, what they've got now is going to be worth 10 times as much.
Yes, yeah, or at least you're preserving the wealth of it.
But I might as well just be doing this on a brick wall.
Well, look, I mean, it's doubled. It's gone up 40% or something.
It's something like $2,500 for an ounce in it, or something like that. It's around $2,000.
Yeah, it's gone up from $1,000 about 10 years ago to $2,500 now, and that's not gold going up. That's the collapse of the value of the currency. Gold is money. Yeah, central banks are buying it hand over fist because there's going to be a big reset, and it's going to be, it's going to be based on gold. Obviously, Britain and Canada sold all their gold. Britain's trying its best to sell all its gold. We're going to be a third world poor country. Yeah, but if we've still got skills and networks and resources, we can rebuild it, or we can survive. As long as you're not dependent, they're not going to come around with jackboots and check every farm and every corner, because they're just going to expect nobody believes us. Everybody's going to be dependent on the state. You're all going to be in the cities. You're all going to be at the warehouses and the distribution centres and the special. Here's your food package and what have you. Don't worry, we're going to look after you. For those that do survive the jabs. And you don't want to be in that position. Basically, that we used to live without the state, without a huge state. The king and the sheriffs and what have you, and the lord of the manor, whatever. They'd leave you alone for most of the time. Yeah, they'd absolutely leave you alone. They didn't have this surveillance that they have now. So yeah, unfortunately, not enough people are active. You know what I mean? We need to be as active offline as we are online. That's my message for today. And again, one of the reasons why we're doing the Standing in the Light Festival as well. Of course, it's a time to relax, and we can actually have some time off from working very hard.
Raise the vibrations.
And yeah, absolutely. And but also it's a chance to network with people face to face. Again, last year people said, I made connections that from my local town, from the next town along. I didn't realize how many people were awake near me, as well as having a great time. Obviously listening to all the bands and the DJs. And this year we've got the Conscious Rap Collective as well, who I believe have just been signed to a label. So there's a lot to do. We've got bouncy castles for the children, as well as the Hope Sussex activities, which are always great. Matt does his mad science stuff. The children love it. We're even having a Sunday service as well for those that have gone all the way through and believe on Jesus. We're having a little Sunday service, which again will be completely non-denominational, open and what have you, non-intrusive, and anything else that people come up with as well. Like I say, free workshops, and we've even got an open mic as well, which maybe even you can come and do your Pink Floyd tribute. More than welcome.
I appreciate the offer.
On the Sunday afternoon, and we've got a couple of acts who were on the main stage this year who just came on the open mic to do a song on the Sunday afternoon. But yeah, we're doing that. As you can tell, it's going to be a buzz. It's going to be brilliant. I expect the weather to be at least dry, if not super sunny. Last year the sun came out on the Saturday morning. It was just amazing. We lifted the sides of the marquee up. And everyone had just an amazing time. So hopefully we'll see loads and loads of people there as well.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully, yeah, brilliant. That sounds like a nice place to end it. Listen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Darren. Good luck with it all. You're doing a marvellous job. You're doing your part in helping to wake people up, which is all we can ask. And yeah, thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for letting me rant on for a while about everything we do.
Mate, it's my pleasure, because the more you talk, the less I have to.
People say, is he controlled opposition? No, it'd be way more scripted. Just flow naturally. Right. Nice one. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone watching this has enjoyed it. Look after yourselves. Take care. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.